BBC Sounds. Music, radio, podcasts.
Hi, Gary here. Just a reminder that the Match of the Day Top 10 podcast is a bit different from what you're used to seeing from us on TV, and there may occasionally be some colourful language, particularly from the Geordie contingent. Thanks for listening. Hello and welcome to Match of the Day Top 10. Before we present the original Match of the Day on a Saturday night, we sit in the green room and tell a few stories and give each other a bit of stick. Well, that's sort of what this show's all about in many ways. Each week we'll pick a list of our top 10 players or goals or games and argue about what order to put them in. It's completely subjective, of course, and we expect you to play along, disagree and probably get crossed on social media. No problem. That's what it's all about. Use the hashtag MOTDTop10 on Twitter. We've got a slightly changed lineup for this series. Alan Shearer does get the nod after a late fitness test. And Micah Richards comes in following a big money move in January. He's very expensive, Micah. He's very good. But welcome to you both. This week's debate is a favourite of, I think, fans and players alike, although it doesn't sound like it when you think of the title. It's the worst places to go, whether it's to go and watch a game, whether it's to go and play a game. Why? Well, that's up to you. Never scored there. Probably, Alan, there's probably a load of grounds of those under you. Always freezing, home fans are too close, bit abusive, whatever, close to the pitch. Anything goes. So let's get started. We've come up with 10 places to start with, and then I'm sure we'll digress and drift off as we think of others. So here we go. We've got the London Stadium / Upton Park, so we can obviously reminisce about old grounds. Selhurst Park, Britannia Stadium, that was the old Stoke ground, you remember, I think Bet365 now. Anfield, Old Trafford, Stamford Bridge, which has changed a lot. The Den, not the new Den, or the new Den and the Den, there is a difference, I assure you. Elland Road, the Dell, Roker Park. First question, Micah, how many of these grounds were actually in existence when you were born?
When I got the email, Roker Park, I was like, what this? I was Googling it.
You have never heard of Roker Park?
I've never heard of Roker Park.
Roker
the Dell,
Raw.
what is the Dell?
Oh, stop it!
How old are you?
In hell, that's what a start that is.
Outrageous.
The Dell, you must have heard of the Dell.
Never heard of
That's
the
where
Dell.
Alan started.
Oh, really?
In Southampton.
Let me tell you about the Dell.
In 1941.
I scored a hat-trick there at my debut. 1988.
He doesn't like to mention it, though.
88?
1988, yeah.
That was the year I was born.
I was close
Get
to
rid of him.
retirement.
Get Righty back, get him out.
How am I here anyway? How have I got the number? Where is Righty?
You're far better than Righty.
Well, that's right. Anyway, I did read that list out. What we're going to do is start in time-honoured tradition by giving us your 10 to 6 in order of preference. Obviously, this one, you can decide whether it's because it's a favourite ground or not. Actually, favourite grounds, that might be one we do in the future. Mm-hmm. But this is places that you perhaps didn't enjoy going to. As you've done this before, Alan, I'll let you kick off with your 10 to 6.
OK, my 10 to 6 is the Britannia Stadium in 10th, only because I'd never played there.
Really?
Never
I did. I'm
there.
probably the only one who did. Well, I am then. But
What I did like about it is that when I was manager at Newcastle, that's where I got my first point.
Oh, your only point.
Oh, my own, yeah. We did get a couple more after that. Not enough, but yeah. So the Britannia Stadium is in 10th position. I've gone for the Den.
The Den.
In 9th. Again, I only ever played a reserve game there.
Yeah.
Obviously against Millwall, and Neil Ruddock was the centre-half.
We'll come to that story in a second.
Which we'll tell you. So that's 9. I've gone the Dell in 8th. I would never say it was a bad place to go. I had some great memories there. Elland Road in 7th. I love going to Elland Road. And Selhurst Park in 6th.
Selhurst Park in 6th. Yeah. OK, that'll do for starters. Let's start with what you've got in 10th, the Britannia Stadium. So you didn't play there but you managed there.
I managed there, yeah.
How many games had you been in charge at Newcastle?
I think it was second or third game we'd gone there. Chelsea was the first game we got beaten off.
And that's your first.
Chelsea.
I mean, it's not necessarily about the grounds, so it's not about the grounds at all. How did it come about that you were made manager?
I got a phone call on a Monday or Tuesday.
After when?
When was it? Late March. It would have been late March, yeah, to say, are you interested?
From who?
From the manager-director at Newcastle.
But it wasn't Mike Ashley?
It wasn't Mike Ashley originally. That wasn't the first phone call, but then I spoke to him after that. And there was there was a few hurdles to get over first. First of all, I had a contract with the BBC, so I had to...
I remember that,
I had to ask them if it would be all right to have a little holiday for 8 weeks. They agreed, and then I spoke to. Then I spoke to
the most relaxing holiday you probably ever had.
No, it was rather stressful. And I mean, I should have known. Really, it was announced on April Fool's Day. Seriously, yeah. So yeah, it started on April Fool's Day, which I should have known was a bad omen. And then it went on from there. It started on the Thursday, and then first game was on the Saturday.
What's it like as someone who's obviously played the game, and you're not really trained to be a manager, and suddenly you're in charge of a football club?
It was difficult because you don't know what's right or wrong. You've got so many decisions to make. I mean, I tell you what it did do for me. It did half make me respect and look at the managers and think, wow, this is hard work. Yeah. I mean, it is, when they say it's a 24-hour job, it is, because you're a dad to, or you try to be a dad to 25 blokes, which is virtually impossible. Yeah. And some of them were my mates.
Was that hard as well?
Yeah, that was
Shifting
difficult.
From being someone's absolute best mate to being the boss.
You got to go to make decisions to say, well, sorry, I'm going to leave you out for whatever reason, or I want you to do that. I want you to do this differently. I mean, you got decide what to eat, what to wear, what time to be there. I mean, it didn't help on my first day that I had a member.
Oh, your dress sense now.
I had a member of staff late and 2 players on my first day, which didn't go down too well.
So did you have to? Right, how do I deal with this?
I did. So I thought, you know what, I'll just brush over it. And then it happened again 3 days later. So I thought, I can't brush over it again. So there was a fine system from the previous manager, which was tenors and 20 quid, and it just obviously it hadn't been working. So I tried to put a fine system in where the first time you were late, it was 10% of your wages. The second time you were late, it was 20% of your wages. And the third time you were late, it was going to be 50% of your wages. But you have to get it all printed out. You have to put it on the players, give it to the players. They have to then... Within a minute of me putting the new fine system on in the dressing room, I had the players' committee knocking on my door, saying this is too much, it's unacceptable. And I said, what? I said, it's too much money. I said, well, just don't be late. You're not in London. You think I'm a stickler for timekeeping. Yeah. Worse than I was the great Sir Bobby Robson.
He was, yeah, I know, absolutely. Although he was always late himself.
He was always late himself. Yeah. He maybe didn't know he was late, but he was late. I remember it was either Sunderland or Middlesbrough, and we stayed in a hotel the night before. And we were leaving the hotel at around about 1 o'clock, and Nobby Solano was late. We had our pre-match. We were in the hotel, we were sat on the bus, ready to leave at 1 o'clock. And 2 minutes past 1, Nobby Solano's not on the bus. And Bobby went, come on, let's go. And he actually, at that minute, Nobby was actually coming out of the hotel and the bus was pulling out, ready to go. And Bobby said, carry on, leave him. And no word of a lie, Nobby got in his car and was driving behind the bus to the ground, and Bobby still left him out.
Did he?
He was in the team when he announced the team at pre-match. And he left him in the car, was driving behind, and he got to the ground and said, sorry, you're out, you're not playing.
Anyway, you got a point at the Britannia Stadium.
I got a point.
How many games had you been in charge by then?
I think it was either my second or third game. We got beaten in my first one, I know that, against Chelsea. Andy Carroll came on late and scored and got us a point. We drew there, so that's why I didn't think it was a bad stadium. But I'd never played there.
No. But you played at not played at Stoke at all?
No,
You
we
haven't
haven't
played
played
You
at the
must have
Britannia
played
Stadium.
Yeah, I
Lots of
played
times.
against Stoke.
Away as well. That was always an
Horrible.
Yeah.
That was brutal. One of my worst stadiums to go to. The fans were horrible. It was so tight. And they're just giving you abuse for nothing.
They have the gaps in the corners, don't they?
Yeah,
So
little gap, the wind, the gust of wind coming through. It's always caught. It's like Stoke on a Wednesday night. Can you do Stoke on a Wednesday night?
There's a reason they say that.
You can't. Sometimes it's physically impossible. Under Tony Pugh, the football that I played was just disgusting.
It
was horrible. I used to hate it.
Did you?
I used to hate it.
Yeah.
Like I'd actually say to
Can I
Mancini,
just say now, never go to Stoke.
I was going to say, I love you at Stoke after this.
I even said to Mancini, this is no word of a lie. I said, you don't need to play me against Stoke. You're not going to get the best out of me. I actually said,
You didn't say that.
I swear. I swear. And he said, what are you on about? And he played me and I scored him that game. So it was brilliant. It was brilliant.
Did he actually say, what is the best of you?
He said on the bench.
Yeah. I played there yonks ago when, even back then, I can't remember who the manager of Stoke was, but it was one of those in the era of the long ball. You know, there were certain managers and stuff that would demand that they grow the grass really long.
Yep.
So they played so direct that it was sticking the corners. I think it ended up 0-0, I can't remember, but second half, I go round the keeper, and I've just gone bang, slotted it and I've started running away to celebrate the goal. The grass was so long. It stopped before the line.
Disaster.
I could actually have ran and followed and tapped it in, but that was terrible.
Disaster.
Right. So what you got at? Was it the?
I've gone
Den,
for the Den.
The Den. Did you play at the old Den?
I played at the old Den only in the reserve game when I was 17, I think it was. Played in the reserves, Southampton against Millwall, and Neil Ruddock was also playing for Millwall reserves, and he gave me one of the biggest kickings I've had in football. And I was 17, and I got one of the biggest as well off the manager then, Chris Nichol. Because he wanted me to toughen up, and it was actually an ideal game. I wasn't great at the time, but looking back, it was good for me. He got me in the next day and gave me because Neil Ruddock sort of beat me up that game. He was too strong for me and kicked me all over the park, which I'll never forget. Chris Nichol for that, but it done me the world of good, I tell you. So only in a reserve game.
Did you ever play there?
No, never played there.
Have you heard of it?
No, the new Den.
No,
The new Den either. No.
Old Den, new Den.
Old Den.
Yeah,
New Den.
no, I just heard stories.
Yeah.
Horrible.
Yeah. Well, I played there on a few occasions, and it's quite a harrowing experience at times. But they used to have this. I think it was behind the goal, but the tunnel out onto the pitch was really narrow. Really narrow. And you know, like most tunnels have got like bricks. This kind of had a wire mesh fence on either side. And all the fans are they're within spitting distance. And when I say spitting distance, I mean spitting distance because I would have experienced it. It was like, and it was like, you just get on the pitch and you think to yourself, probably not a good idea to play too well today. Or it was quite frightening.
Upton Park is like that as well, with it being so cool, which I'm sure we'll get onto,
The chicken run.
Something like that, yeah.
Sure
Yeah, that was horrible.
We'll come to that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of places, that's the kind of ground where you go where fans are can be unpleasant towards you.
Yeah, Upton Park, for me, it wasn't really that bad.
You played at Upton Park?
You played at Upton Park, and that was... We always got a decent result there. Remember...
Was it all-seater there, though, when you went there? Because it went...
It would have been, yeah, because that all changed
particularly
in the 90s.
Especially when you played in the 40s. It would have been, thousands there, no seats stood up and right on top of you rather than all-seater stadiums.
Yeah. Well, but when you get the old fans that used to be standing, you used to see places like Anfield, like West Ham. Yes. You get that, they were so close together. They'd move, wouldn't they? The kind of ebb and flow and the waves, almost like watching, those flocks of starlings when they move. It was incredible when you see some of those old, particularly the old, going back in the 50s and 60s.
Well, when I went, Kevin Keegan's debut at Newcastle, St James's Park, all stand behind it was a Gallagher end. I went with 5 or 6 of my mates to watch the game, and we got into the ground together. And when he scored, that was it. Gone. I'd lost all my mates because of that. The whole crowd was sort of going forward. Both of them.
It'd be different for you two though, because you two were strikers, so you'd get more abuse than I would as a defender. I think you lot are scoring. You're the threat, aren't you? I'm the defender. So for you, it would have been more difficult. I would thought.
Were there places where you got a bit of personal abuse? You know?
Oh, Anfield, Old Trafford.
Yeah.
I mentioned Stoke. But Leeds, there was a story at Leeds. So we're playing I'm at Villa.
That's your team, though, isn't it?
I know,
Leeds
I'm from Leeds.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
this is why I couldn't find out. We was playing away, and Villa Leeds, trying to come up from the Championship, a bit of rivalry. And I've gone to watch the game, but I'm in the Leeds end. I don't know why I'm in the tickets. I'm in the Leeds end.
Oh, you weren't playing?
No, I wasn't playing, shock. And then, like, Villa have had a shot, and I didn't even... I just said, I must have just clapped my hands. I wouldn't go in cheering And then some guy next to me, "What are you doing in here, fella?" I said, "What are you on about? I'm watching the game." "Well, why are you cheering for Aston Villa? The Villa fans are over there, mate." So I said, "You what?" I said, I play for Villa. He didn't know I was a player. He said, "Well, what are you doing here?" I said, he said, you here now? Come round here." So I'm like, he doesn't know I'm from Chapeltown in Leeds, and we can handle ourselves.
I can imagine you can handle yourself, Micah.
At the same time, I've got to be professional.
Yeah.
So I was with Steve Bruce's son, Alex Bruce as well, and he sat behind me. So he's just saying, "Calm down, calm down." And the fella stands up like this. So back in the days where I'm from, if someone stands up, you've got to stand up as well. So I'm standing up. And he didn't try to hit me. He comes to my face like this, and I'm just thinking, if I fight here, I'm going to get in trouble. So I left it, but afterwards, me and you outside, no cameras, no nothing, and he himself. Absolutely.
I bet he did.
So yeah, that's the only experience I've got from Elland Road. Yeah, but.
If that chap is listening to this podcast, please do get in touch, and you can meet Micah later. A little rendezvous. Right, okay. The Dell.
The Dell.
Great. You must have great memories of that.
I love
funny, it's one of my happy hunting grounds. I've bagged a few.
Well, I think we both scored at the Dell. You were playing for Spurs and I was playing for Southampton on the opening day of the season.
Well, yeah, I think I might have got two.
Did you? All right, okay.
I think so.
I thought you'd know that, yeah.
Yellow shirt.
Yellow shirt. Yeah.
I don't know why these things bump into my mind, but I probably didn't get two at all. So you scored as well in that game?
I scored as well.
I'd never heard of you then. Just a little fledgling.
Had a bit of hair then. Yeah, I mean, I loved the Dell. I was in digs about, half a mile from the Dell, so used to get up at 7:30, have to walk half a mile to the ground and do the boots and clean all the toilets and stands and everything else with all the old YTS scheme. And it's where it all started for me. I loved it. It had a great feel about it. It was really small, compact, tight ground. Made my debut there in '88, scored a hat-trick against Arsenal.
Twice you mentioned that.
There'll be a few more by the time this finishes.
That must have been something. I mean, mate, your debut was how old?
17 against Arsenal, yeah. Danny Wallace failed a fitness test. So I got told at about 11:30 Saturday morning before pre-match that I was in. So there was no real time to get nervous. And I loved my time there. It was a great football club and a great old ground. Yeah,
it was a great ground. I played a lot of success there, but it was like really small.
Can you remember when you used to go into the Dell? You used to have to walk past the home team dressing room.
Wasn't there some dressing room up behind? Something in my memory says there was something odd about where the dressing rooms were. Is that?
No, you used to walk in down, and then the medical room was on the left-hand side. The home dressing room was on the right, and then the away team used to turn left and walk about 20 yards, which was just above the tunnel. But there was the light switch for the home dressing room, because there was no sort of windows in the home dressing room. There was no light in there. But the light switch was outside of the dressing room. So there was so many times that the manager was going berserk at half-time or full-time. You can see one of the apprentices or someone used to turn the light off. So it was you literally couldn't see in there. And it was that dressing room that we had at Southampton, there was some proper hard guys in that dressing room. Yeah. Jimmy Case and Mark Dennis, and I mean Chris Nicholl was one of the hardest as well. And it was such an environment that, I mean, milk bottles used to get thrown and fights in there. It was incredible. And one time Chris Nicholl was giving us a huge after a game.
Seems like he gave a lot of.
He did. He was hard as nails. He was, and there was so much animosity. And he was shouting and swearing, and someone turned the light off outside. And by the time it come back on, some 10 or 15 seconds later, Chris was stood there like that. He was waiting to see thought someone was going to take the chance.
He didn't watch the Villa Leeds game, did he, Chris? He wasn't in the stand. When did you make your debut? You remember? For whom?
My debut was my home debut was at home. Against
it generally is.
My away debut was at Highbury.
The away debut was away.
I came on up front. I came on up front.
No way.
I was a defender, but Stuart Pearce was a manager.
Yeah.
And I used to score a lot of goals in training. I was a training player, me, I was brilliant in training. I was the best. So it comes to the game. Exactly. So he put me up front, and then the ball comes. It comes. I can't remember who played the ball in. I chested it down, fantastic. But you know when you chest it and you knock it to the side, so it's in your path. Yeah. And I'm just shaping up and I'm thinking, naming headlights. So you know when you get excited before you're gonna, especially as a defender, and I've gone to hit it, shanked it, and it's hit the corner flag. And that was the last time I went up front, honestly.
It's difficult up front, you know.
It is difficult. It is difficult.
It is Highbury.
Highbury, that was
Highbury though, was it?
It was at Highbury, yeah. It was at Highbury, yeah. That was it last year, was it?
I loved Highbury. It was.
Did you?
Yeah, I loved the ground.
Highbury.
I loved the ground. I loved the old.
I never liked Highbury. I only ever scored there once.
But it was a lovely ground. Right, where do we go from there? Elland Road.
Elland Road.
Oh,
You've heard my Elland Road
Did you go there as a kid? Did you go watch?
Not really. I think I went once, you know, when you win a competition with school and stuff like that. But I didn't really. I supported Arsenal as a youngster, didn't I? So Elland Road was never somewhere I wanted to go, to be honest.
I loved Elland Road. I loved Elland Road.
Happy hunting ground?
Oh, you know, it's just one of those grounds. I just knew I was going to score goals.
Good atmosphere, though, isn't it?
It's a great atmosphere, but I just don't know what it was. Whether I with Southampton, which I didn't get that many goals, I scored there. Blackburn and with Newcastle, just loved going there, and it was always just a happy hunting ground for me. Loved it there. Great ground. Yeah, really good.
You know, they had quite a real strong, aggressive fan base.
Oh yeah, they were boisterous.
We talk about atmospheres of different places. Did you thrive on that? Did you enjoy that, or did you? I mean, you said, you know, when you played at Stoke, you got a bit of stick.
Yeah, Stoke was different. It was just horrible. Yeah. But I used to love the atmosphere. Yeah. Like if you go to in the derbies, the Manchester derbies, it's the only games really I got nervous for. Yeah. Because you know you're going to battle and you know you need to win. And when I was coming through, United was so much better than us. Yeah. So going there with a point to prove, I used to love that atmosphere. Yeah. And I played my best games in the derbies, to be honest. Did you enjoy matches where there was a real atmosphere? I always found it so much easier to, even if it was away, even if it was a intimidating atmosphere, so much easier to play and get yourself hyped up than going somewhere and playing where it's quiet and there's no atmosphere. Well, that's why I think you've got to have a bit of sympathy now with the guys that have been playing in lockdown with no fans, because we all know, we've all said it, it's probably the perfect time to do this particular episode, because it just shows you how much you miss the fans in the stadium. I mean, we've watched so much football, obviously, the last 12 months, but I can't wait to have a full ground again. I bet you the players can't wait either, or most of them anyway, because I mean it was such a huge relief, wasn't it, to get football back after the original lockdown, that everyone was just delighted that football was on, we were watching football again, but then the longer it's gone on, then the more you realise how much we all need the fans in stadiums. I think it's helped some players, though. You see, in terms of... You see ones who are getting a stick from their own fans. Honestly, Villa Park, wow. If you're not winning, after 15, 20 minutes, the crowd turn on you. I remember their own players. Their own players. But remember when we got relegated that season, you know, on a tannoy before you're coming out. So you know, you read out both teams, don't you? And normally your own players, you're getting cheered. So they'd ring out like some of the subs and whatnot. Micah Richards, boo!
Oh, really?
Jolie Lescott, boo! And it was just, so you're going out there and you have to perform and your own fans are turning on you. So that was difficult. But now, if you see them players getting on the ball, making, getting on the half turn, they wouldn't do it. They wouldn't do that if the fans were there. No chance.
Yeah, it's an interesting point. Funnily enough, I made my debut for Everton. Actually, it wasn't my debut. The debut was Leicester. That's a story in itself as well. At Leicester, when we were half-time, first game for Everton, first game of the next season is at Filbert Street, at Leicester's old ground, that is, Micah.
Yeah.
So I think it was 2-0 at half-time. We were 2-0 down. Mark Bright, who took my place, had scored a wonder goal, and I walked in at half-time thinking, oh, this is a nightmare, 2-0 down. So I go in, down the tunnel, walk into the dressing room. I only walked into the Leicester dressing room, didn't I?
Oh, no.
Oh, habit. Oh, you should have seen their faces. They're all 2-0. They're going, what are you doing here? I was red-faced. I walked back into the other dressing room. So it was a horrendous experience. Did you ever do any good going back to your old clubs?
Yeah, I did all right. I went back to Blackburn with Newcastle and scored a couple and definitely celebrated because I was getting some grief.
Yeah, that's a kind of modern phenomenon, isn't it? That non-celebration of
I don't
goals
understand
against...
it, mate.
I mean, the famous one has always been Dennis Law, hasn't it? When he did that little backheel kind of goal that remarkably sent Manchester United down. He was playing for City. Have you ever seen the footage?
No, I've never seen that.
And he'd spent all his career at Manchester United except the last part where he went to City. And he scored the goal that basically sent Manchester United. And he was genuinely devastated. You could see it was almost like he didn't want to score it. So that was kind of understandable. But some of the ones now, some players been at a club for 6 months, plays against them 8 years later, and doesn't
celebrate. Giving it all
I think
it's ridiculous.
Yeah, because sometimes it matters more against a former club.
You're paid to do your job, to go and do your score goals, and fans want to see you celebrate, I think. So, yeah. I don't see an issue with it celebrating against your old teams.
You've got 6 Selhurst Park.
Selhurst Park, yeah. I mean, it was a horrible old stadium. Dressing rooms small, tunnels small. Still now you can see coming out the tunnel, standing together. Palace and Wimbledon played there when Wimbledon back in the day.
Charlton played there for a while.
Charlton as well, yeah.
And it's actually if I could choose a ground where I'd scored more goals than anywhere.
As well,
was Selhurst Park.
Was it?
Yeah, it was mad. I remember scoring an overhead kick there. I scored 4 against Wimbledon there. I scored against every time I went there, I scored. Was it lucky one for you?
Well, yeah, I went the very first day of the Premier League, 1992. Signed for Blackburn, and that was our first game. Went there, we drew 3-3. I got a couple of decent ones as well. So yeah, I always remember Selhurst Park. Always a good atmosphere there. I can't remember. It wasn't going so well at Newcastle. I can't remember whether it was Wimbledon or Crystal Palace. We were getting the right old telling off Bobby Robson at half time, and Bobby hated mobile phones, hated lateness, hated mobile phones, and Rob Lee before the game had put my phone, flicked the phone up so it was on loud. So we were getting a at half time.
Oh no, he did go off at half time.
Gaffer's gone mad, telling everyone what they thought of this. And Rob Lee was in the toilet, and he took his phone with him, and he'd rang my phone. My phone went off.
That is brilliant. That is brilliant.
He got this. My phone's going off, so I said, "I'm really sorry, boss. I apologise." And he's got phone. Anyway, I looked at my phone a minute later. It's Rob Lee. He says, "Not only have you had a stinker in the first half, you had a stinker putting your phone on." He sent a text message whilst he was in the toilet as well.
Fantastic. That's a great story. I have to tell you the Bobby Robson story about the telephone.
Go on.
He was working with us on TV, and he's suddenly going, lost my phone. I can't find my phone anywhere. So I've gone, oh, Bobby, let me call it for you. He went, okay, good idea. So, what's your number? Anyway, ringing. He starts ringing. I think, there it is. And he's gone. Gets it out of his pocket. I swear this is true. puts it to his ear and he goes, hello, can I call you back? I'm just looking for my phone. That was brilliant, wasn't it? Oh, he did laugh like once we went, Bobby. Brilliant story. Selhurst Park memories?
Yeah, I got twisted up by Zaha.
Yeah, well, he's twisted a few.
And it's just one of those where, you know, like when you know the attacker's got one up on you, you just try to hold your position, but they kept coming, and then the crowd started getting involved. Oh, run at him. And every time they go past me, way. And I was supposed to be like, that was when I was in my prime, it was early days, and he was only coming through. And I'd not been done like that before. It was only Bale further on in my career who really roasted me. Yeah. And I'd always, because I was quite strong and, you know, fast, I'd always just put my arm on, foul him or whatnot, but I just couldn't get anywhere near him. So it was more the one-on-one battle with Zaha.
Did you find it difficult when you went into punditry in terms of trying to, and sometimes you've got to criticise, because when you just said Bale, he roasted me so many times, do you find it difficult now when you see someone getting a hard time to say you just sort of step back? Oh, that's happened to me.
Yeah,
when you're new into it.
If you ever see me in a punditry, I'll always try think of a solution rather than tell the problem what's going on here. And it's
happened to you.
It is difficult, especially when I've just retired. So
it helps if it's happened to you in a way, because it's an experience of knowing what that feels like, and that's important to put over, because that's what people at home can't really relate to at that particular level of what it's like to play against a player that has the better of you.
It's difficult though, isn't it? Because punditry now, from when I was watching it, it always was a little bit negative. You know, when you got like Alan Hansen, he set the bar, didn't he? Yeah. He could just ruin people. I just remember coming on Match of the Day and thinking, have I had a bad game? If I had a bad game, I just won't watch it, because you just know he's going to come, you know. And
please don't be me.
Please don't be me. I remember we played Chelsea away and we lost. I was arguing with Lampard. So I come back from the England squad. And like, you know, when you get in the England team, you're supposed to be mates with everyone, aren't you? You know, like... But then, like, we went into the tunnel and Frank Lampard didn't shake my hand. So in the game, I'm raging. I'm thinking, I was just together the other day. Why is he not shaking my hand? So I've gone in and I had an absolute stinker. One of the worst games of my life. Luckily, Javi Garrido, left back, had an even worse game. And a Match of the Day. I'll show you the clips after. I was useless. And I think it was Alan Hansen who absolutely destroyed him. And I got away with one because I was awful. It was my fault, to be honest. So when I'm doing the punditry now, I try to be a little bit more positive, because it's always been a little bit negative. So I always try to put a positive spin on that.
And you're 10-6, please.
Well, the Dell, whiwhich I've never been to.
No.
But that
never heard of?
I've never heard of. So that's got to go into number 10.
How old does that make you feel, by the way?
When did it change? When did it change this to...
St Mary's?
St Mary's, yeah. What year was that?
How long ago was it?
Late 90s,
was it?
2000.
Because I'd never even heard of that. I've never even heard of that. So that's going at number 10 anyway.
Yeah, go on. 9.
Roker Park.
Yeah.
Which never... Yeah. Obviously, but Stadium Light, though, that was... I won't say it was the most difficult ground to go to, but...
The Roker Raw was...
yes.
Amazing.
Tell me about the Roker Raw.
Well, it was a Raw at Roker Park. So. But, no, honestly, I played a couple of times there in my early days with Leicester, and it really was a thing that when they started to get it going a little bit in a game, or they get a goal, and after that, and it was a thing. It really was a thing, and obviously they're a well-supported club. Probably the Giants of the North East.
Hey!
Yeah, just joking, Alan, just joking. But
can't believe that's even in there, by the way. Who put Roker Park in the Stadium of Light in there?
It's crazy.
Really?
I don't know. Selhurst Park, just that one story with Zaha.
Yeah.
And then Upton Park. So that's my 10, 9, 8, 7.
What's 6?
Elland Road, the Elland Road story.
Okay. Well, we've talked about 4 of those, so let's go straight to the London Stadium, Upton Park. Now, if there's ever there is a contrast between what a ground was like for atmosphere and what a ground is like now for atmosphere, that's probably
soulless, isn't it?
It's different. It's probably the only ground I can think of nowadays in this country where the pitch is miles from the stand, and that's where it loses that atmosphere, don't you think?
So the London Stadium, that was from the Olympics, was it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
and
the
I played
Olympic
in the
Stadium.
Olympics. I must have played in that stadium.
I don't think they had the football.
Was it opening ceremony?
The athletics there, Mark.
No, afterwards. Do we not have the last game there? Was it not? No.
I don't think so. I think they played.
But
they didn't play any football there. Not then.
Okay. Well, the opening ceremony was great there, and that was.
Were you in the?
I was at the Olympics.
Did you not just hear him slip that in there quietly?
Well, yeah, you're not talking about goals. I mean, the Olympics. We've got an Olympian here.
I was there. I was presenting it.
Was you?
I think it's right up there as one of the most watched television events ever. It's something like
incredible.
Well over 20 million. People watching. What was it like being on the track and with the athletes?
Oh my God!
With real athletes.
It was just. it was surreal moment.
Was it?
Because you had Kobe Bryant was there.
Of course, yeah.
Daniel Sturridge came with Great Britain, and he knew Bolt as well. So he was going to their room, and I just like.
Did you meet Usain Bolt and stuff?
Oh, he's incredible. Yeah. But it was just like. It was just so not cocky, but just so he just I'm gonna win. I'm gonna win tomorrow.
He was right.
I know he was right. But you go in there, the Olympic Village. Wow, it is. Yeah. So much testosterone. Honestly, there's a room.
Steady on that. When you say so much testosterone, you mean real not the stuff the athletes are getting. We have to be very careful.
Be careful what we say there. And there's a room, honestly, half of this size, just full of condoms.
What?
Exactly.
Full of condoms?
Full of condoms. Because don't forget, like, they're athletes, you know what I mean? And it's like...
Are you sure you should be telling the story?
It's free game on this, isn't it? And then you just... One minute you go, you see a... Like,
so what do you mean, just a pause?
Just like safe sex, promoting safe sex.
Oh, okay.
Because you know what's happening in the village. Oh. We all know what's happening in the village.
Michael, thanks to you. Thank you very much.
We know what's happening with the village. And then one minute you got the shot putters over there, and then you got the, I don't know, what else did we have? We had the women's teams over this side, and he's got like England, Great Britain there, Jamaica there, all the countries you can think of. And you've got a massive hall, you've got McDonald's, you've got Chinese, and it was just so Stuart Pearce was a manager.
Shop.
Stuart Pearce was like...
In charge of condoms.
That's the headline.
And he's like, we've got to get out of here. We've got to get out of here. It was how people focus in the Olympic Village, I will never know.
Really? Wow.
Because it's just, like, people are playing music till 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. Incredible.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
But there is as a football stadium,
it's
I mean, it's a beautiful stadium. There's no question about that. But it's not the same as Upton Park, with it, which was really atmospheric.
No, you mentioned the Den, about them being close and tight and horrible and abusing you and shouting and spitting. And I mean, West Ham was Upton Park was similar to that, wasn't it? In terms of going from that to where they are now at the London Stadium. I mean, it's chalk and cheese. There's nothing like you're miles away from the stadium, and I've been there a couple of times working with the with TV, and it feels empty.
Yeah. Even when it's full.
Even when it's full.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's because a lot of teams that have changed the grounds, and there's been a lot obviously in the last 20, 30 years. I think most of them are in the end end up really happy. I mean, take Leicester, Filbert Street to the King Power. It's just a nicer, better environment to go and watch football, but it's still got a great atmosphere. And I think there's a lot of grounds like that, but the West Ham one, I suppose it wasn't built specifically for West Ham. It was built for the Olympics. So how can it be anything but? You carry on now and go from your 5 to 1.
So I put the Den in there only because I watched some videos and
Black and white videos.
yeah. Stamford Bridge. Yeah. That was tough to go to.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a fortress. But I've got Stoke in at number 3.
3. Yeah, Stoke.
Old Trafford at number 2.
And Anfield.
Anfield
has to be left. That's the only one left.
Anfield
as one. I tell you what, give me yours as well, Alan. Now,
Okay.
so and then we'll just talk about the ones that we've not
I've
talked about.
gone Roker Park or Stadium Light as 5. I don't even think it should be there because it wasn't a difficult place to go.
Very good.
4, I've gone Stamford Bridge.
Yeah.
Same.
3, I've gone Upton Park.
Yeah.
2, I've gone, and these 2 only because the teams were that good and you very rarely came away with anything, was Anfield 2 and Old Trafford 1.
Right. Let's go in reverse order. We'd already talked about the Den. We've already talked about Roker Park. So you've both got at 4 Stamford Bridge, and that's a ground that's changed quite significantly. When I played there, it was. They used to have it was like a dog track round it. Was it a dog track or something like that? And they used to, it was almost like we're talking about the London Stadium, the West Ham Stadium. That was behind the goals, miles from the pitch.
Yeah.
I remember playing there, and there was a caravan park behind one of the goals at one point, or something like that.
Caravan park?
Yeah, it was like a caravan or some old car or something like that. Yeah, that definitely sticks in.
I do remember the goals
mind.
being quite away from the
and the pitch was
terraces,
like
wasn't
really
it?
domed, and you used to almost fall off it on the sides, and it was always not very nice pitch, and it wasn't a very welcoming place.
No, you used to get a bit of abuse there, did you?
Go, well, funnily enough, this is one of the most extraordinary stories. You know, when you get there before the game, sometimes you get there a bit early, the bus arrives. So we arrived really early, so we go out onto you go out on the pitch, don't you? Kill a bit of time, look at the playing surface, see what studs you're going to wear, etc. And then walk back, and they had the tunnel there, and there's quite a few kids. So I've stopped there signing a few autographs for the lads there, and blah, blah, I was signing away these youngsters, I signed that. All of a sudden I hear this voice from up above, a woman's voice. And I look up, it's an old woman. And she's gone, Lineker. I went, oh, hiya. She went, you diving. I went, oh, okay, thank you very much. Yes, okay. And there's a lovely welcome. A lovely welcome.
Was you diving though?
Did you dive? Yeah.
No, only when touched.
You missed it.
But Stamford Bridge for you, memories?
Played there with all my with all 3 clubs as well, with Southampton, Blackburn, and Newcastle. It was just it wasn't.
It used to be a rubbishy pitch.
It was a horrible pitch, really bobbly and dry and long grass.
You don't have that experience of playing really on terrible pitches.
No.
So that's the one thing. You know, people say, "Oh, I bet you wish you played now with the money they're in." I said, "No, it doesn't. That's totally irrelevant. Nothing. The only thing I really look at the game now and think, I wish I was playing now, is the playing surfaces. I mean, God, they were so bad when. You know, you'd start the season, you think, oh, these are nice pitches in August. September starts to get a little bit boggy. October, November, it's just mud. And then you get the frosts, and then you play on pitches that are all frozen hard and bumpy. And then spring. Spring was always horrible because it was dry and you could never trust. And then you get centre-halves like yourself knocking balls into it, it's bouncing up, and you're bouncing your chest, and you get some massive centre-half who's allowed to just kick you from behind. And the manager on the side of the pitch going, hold it up, hold it up. You hold it up. You know about playing up front. Whereas now, it's like bump, bump, bump. That's why you can play out from the back. That's why goalkeepers can knock it out to someone in their own. Well, apart from the law change that allows it. But you can play from the back because you can trust the surface. There's no bobbles. It makes a big difference.
So how many goals do you think you would score in today's?
I'd have been up there with Messi and Ronaldo. I would if I played for City. I'd tell you, God, blimey.
In that team.
Can you imagine how many you score for that team? The amount of balls go across that 6-yard box.
De Bruyne's balls coming into the box, eh?
Yeah. Was Stamford Bridge good to you?
No,
Anywhere good to you?
Just not really. don't forget, City were the City that they are now. Back then, it was difficult. We was a whipping boys, weren't we? You know, I remember from January to the end of the season, we didn't win a game at home.
Is that right?
That's how bad it was at times.
Your bogey ground was your home ground. That's
basically
never a good thing.
And we. To see him come so far is just great. I know they've had a lot of investment, but to see the players and the way they're playing now, we talk about stadiums. Main Road was a proper ground, though.
Oh, I love Main Road.
Main Road was just brilliant. When now, and we've got some core Man City fans who are still there, but then it's a lot more corporate now, isn't it? So it missed that little bit of a fear factor that you used to have at Mayhem Road.
What we got at 3, chap? We got the Britannia. You said 3. We've done that already. Then we go London Stadium. That's 3. We've done that already. So that's 2 and 1. It didn't surprise me that you've gone Old Trafford and Anfield. You've done them in different orders. So let's start with Anfield. Let's start with. That's. I mean, it's one of the great places to play, though, isn't it? The atmosphere, especially when you play on one of those floodlit nights. There's nothing. When they sing that, "You'll Never Walk Alone," it gives you goosebumps. I think.
Scary.
You know, I always think with Anfield as well is that I think. I mean, tell me if I'm wrong, but I think they're a tad more respectful, the fans, towards you as an opposing player than a lot of other grounds where I think they give you a bit more respect, and whereas at other grounds, certainly with me, I got absolutely battered.
Well, we'll come to Old Trafford in a minute.
I don't know whether it was. I mean, I only lived 20, 25 minutes away from Anfield when I played at Blackburn. I lived in Formby, which was a great area, and I think the Scousers are very much like the Geordies and Glaswegians, whereas they just work hard all week and want to go and support their teams at the weekend. And I think they're a tad more respectful there. But
good
the atmosphere was
playing wise,
good and bad. I mean, we got beaten on the final day of the season when we won the league, though. That was a good and it was a great memory to go there. But it was one of the toughest places because they always had such a great team.
Yeah.
And it was one of the first grounds that I went to as a kid. My uncle took me there for an FA Cup game. And stood on the cop as a 11-year-old, and it was unbelievable. I mean,
that was the plate where you see the images of the swaying. Isn't it? That whole incredible.
I mean, when you hear that, and when you hear them, that "You'll Never Walk Alone" beforehand, and that I was lucky enough to be at Anfield when Liverpool beat Barcelona. Was it a year ago, 2 years ago, and that comeback.
Oh,
it was the best atmosphere I've ever known in a football stadium. It was ridiculous. They got the 1, and they got the 2, and they got the 3rd one, and you could feel it was just buzzing. And then, oh my goodness,
Trent moment in the corner. And,
it was ridiculous. The atmosphere that night was the best I'd ever known.
You won the title at Anfield.
Yeah, as I said, good memories. We got beaten on the day, but West Ham did us a favour against Man United at Upton Park. So yeah, great memories of and the party that we had in the dressing room and the atmosphere in the dressing room with the champagne and the Liverpool fans, because Kenny was manager of Blackburn.
Yeah.
And he obviously means so much to the people at Anfield, and rightly so, that they gave us a great reception.
Oh, that's lovely.
Which
I mean,
Kenny was superb as well, yeah. So and he deserved it, yeah. So great memories of Anfield, yeah.
Right, come on, Mike. Surprise us. Tell us you've got some good memories.
No, it's horrible. It's horrible. Anfield is just, honestly, it's the worst. You go through the little tight tunnel, and I've got the badge above. Everyone's slapping the badge. I'm like, what? And then you look at Steven Gerrard, and he's just there. You're just in awe of the guy, you know, because that's the guy you're looking at. He was just incredible. And he just always used to set the tempo, first tackle. And he used to get away with murder, he did. He always, never used to get a decision there. And as we was getting better and better, the rivalry started getting a little bit more. And then the fans it feels like, I can't remember if I've won, in a league, I've definitely not won there. Might have won there in the cup. But it just feels like, when you play and you go and you feel confident sometimes, when you go to Anfield, it's like you got your legs on back to front. Like you can't play a simple ball. It's like a fortress there. And I just never had a great memory from Liverpool, especially in the league. It was just too good. There was just an incredible team, and Steven Gerrard was just the king there.
I think one of my favourite memories of my whole career was scoring in the Merseyside derby for Everton when we won 2-0.
I bet that was some atmosphere as well, eh?
The Merseyside derby. Merseyside derby was unbelievable. But slightly and unique in its way, because with Merseyside derbies, you kind of get supporters, families that are mixed up. So, you know, I remember playing in the Merseyside derby, Wembley FA Cup final in '86, and we were going down Wembley Way in the bus, and you're looking out the windows, and there'd be a dad with a red scarf around his neck, with his son on his shoulders, with a blue scarf on, and that's pretty. I think I've never seen that anywhere else. I don't know whether it's probably different.
You win the
Manchester.
FA Cup. Never known you'd won the FA Cup.
Not that year, though. Sadly. Not that year. I had to wait 5 years for that one. I don't like. Why do you always have to mention that FA Cup thing? But I did also have one of my worst experiences at where I learnt a big lesson. Was the ball was knocked up to me. I was like about 20, 21, playing for Leicester at Anfield, and they against that seriously good Liverpool side. And the ball was knocked up to me and it bounced off as it did in those early days quite a bit, and it went back into midfield, and I thought, I'm going to win this. And the guy coming towards me was a certain chap called Souness, who you work with, obviously. And as I've gone in to honestly win the ball, he's raked me straight down my shin.
Ouch.
I had stitches and everything. I was like, and I learnt a lesson that day. Just let him have it.
Yeah.
just let them have it. So yeah, Anfield. I think we've got equal winners this week with because you've gone Old Trafford as your number one.
Yeah, I mean, again, only because there was such a. I mean, well, a couple of reasons. There was such a great team, and it's very rare you went there and got something. I played there again with Southampton and was lucky enough to score. Played there in one of the first, it might be the first, I might be wrong, first ever FA Cup penalty shootouts.
Really?
Yeah. Southampton, Man United.
Take one?
I took one as a youngster, yes. Luckily, I scored.
Thought you might have done. I don't think you'd have brought it up otherwise.
No, I wouldn't. But you very rarely went to Old Trafford and got something. And obviously, I just got dogs abuse off the fans. So, but yeah, they were. I mean, what a team.
Yeah. Well, City,
Derbies.
Big derbies, yeah.
It was one memory that sticks out. You remember that Wayne Rooney overhead kick?
Of course.
How many times you see it advertised and you just see my face just about to head it.
Oh, right.
And he just comes and scores one of the best goals I've ever seen.
No, actually, it's not your fault. You actually should take credit for that.
You take credit for such a great goal.
Yeah.
But yeah, Old Trafford, I think, to me, because I came through the academy there, I was at academy at 14, and I was always arrogant, always horrible, always thought there was though, United, like, the kids were going round, and they were just horrible. Yeah. So every year we was getting better and better and better. And then 2012 was the 2011-2012 season, the 6-1, wasn't it?
Yeah. Turning point.
And it was just the best day of my life. It was incredible because he just, like, Rio, love him. He's a great guy. Yeah. But remember the season before, or if it was, they all went out to a night in Circle, Panacea, and they all had the Premier League medals around the neck.
Oh.
Really?
I was just like, that moment just stuck in my mind. And I'm thinking, like, you're Rio Ferdinand, you're a great player, everyone knows you're great, you're going to win anything. Like, you don't need to come in a club with your medals on. But it stuck in my mind as soon as we won the league. And that 6-1 was the start, the turn. All the Man City boys did the exact same. Went out with all our medals and was like, you.
I always wanted to, it never happened. I mean, I was lucky enough to score there, but I always wanted to score the winner with about 30 seconds to go, and I knew it was going to be the winner just so I could get my own back and stand in front of the and I wouldn't have moved for the last minute.
I'm reliably informed that your record against Manchester United over your entire career is not that brilliant.
Is it not? It's all right.
You score a few, or?
Yeah, I scored a few.
What's a few?
2?
I don't know. What is the record? Maybe, I don't know, 1 and 2? 1 and 2, something like that.
Is it that good?
I was never shy scoring against them.
No.
Something like that.
Did it mean more because you got a lot of stick there? Obviously, you got a lot of stick there because you didn't go there.
Why didn't you go? Why didn't you go?
I just wanted to go home.
I know, but he's at Man United. Come on. Why would you not? Why did you might have? Well, you won the Premier League, so anyway, you tick that box.
Yeah, I would. That was the reason I'd won the Premier League with Blackburn. I was so close to going. I very nearly went. In fact, it was that close. I'd found a house. Yeah. I was going to buy Graham Souness' old house.
I was going to buy his as well.
And Mia.
I'm going nowhere near him.
But I just ended up having another conversation with Kevin Keegan, and then thought, I'm going home.
Heart ruled the head. Heart ruled the head, maybe. Would you accept
No,
that?
not really. No,
No?
it was just no.
No.
If I had the same decision to make, I'd make the same thing.
Even with
again.
hindsight?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, of course.
Fair
I mean, obviously, I would have won a lot more than I did in my career.
But we wouldn't be able to joke about the FA Cup or anything like that, would we?
That would have spoiled the joke, wouldn't
It would have been terrible. It would have been
How much would you guys be worth in this current market?
We can't say that.
I'm 60.
Yeah, but how much? If you was doing what you was, because no one's doing what you.
Well, it's hard to talk about yourself like
Well,
that.
it's not.
But
We're having an open, honest conversation.
Of course, I've had conversations many times. People say, "What about the game then? The game now?" They're totally different games because the conditions of everything changed. The players so. But I've always said it's so difficult comparing greats from one era or players from one era and players from another era. The best players of yesteryear would be up there with the best players today. And the best players today would have been the best because you adapt to your certain time and your circumstances.
Find a way, wouldn't they?
So, I don't know, I'd be, I suppose you compare us with Harry Kane, what would he be worth? Because, that's the kind of...
Level, yeah.
Top scoring Indian international side, something like that. So, whatever. So, I don't know, 300 million? I'll be worth even more.
Get the big wages.
Yeah, well, the wages, imagine the wages. What are you getting, 300-400 grand a week now?
Yeah.
Fantastic, that, wasn't it?
On that note, well, it was, I think we would do the top 10. I think with this one, it's just about grounds and it doesn't really matter what's first, what's second. But Old Trafford, Anfield, kind of joint first. The rest of it will lead. And, I'm sure people have different opinions of different grounds. And we promised debate, and hopefully our first episode of this new series didn't disappoint with lots of fun stories. So remember to have your say on Twitter. No doubt you will. Use the hashtag MOTDTop10. Until next time, thanks for listening.
BBC Sounds. Music, radio, podcasts.
We brought you That Football Chat.
Let's get Crouch's 100 goals re-commentated.
Look at this handsome devil. He's bagged 30 this season.
And That General Nonsense.
Welcome to Crouch Fest.
This is massive. Give it up for Tom Grennan.
Yes, thank you very much.
And now, That Peter Crouch podcast has returned for a brand new series.
We're going to come back stronger. Are you up for that?
That Peter Crouch podcast.
Listen on BBC Sounds.